following is a Goulash Media production. goulashmedia.net.
Welcome to the System is Down.
What's up, Downers? We've got a longer, yet probably more interesting episode than most for you today. The interview pretty well speaks for itself, but I had a chance to talk to a couple of experts on the topic of ghosts. It's delightfully lengthy and insightful conversation, so let's just jump right into it. Let's get weird. My guests today are Aaron Thompson and Nick Simons. They are the creators of ghostcrier.com, which is a website that, what would you say your title is? I mean, is ghost hunter, is that a taboo thing to say? Is there something in the industry shunned or anything like that I can't say?
It's funny because I'm actually going to blog about that here soon. Because, there is kind of a disengagement between the terms paranormal investigator and ghost hunter.
Sure.
And at the end of the day, it's the same crap. You call your tomato.
You look at it this way. Pretty much everybody that's a ghost hunter prefers to be called a paranormal investigator. And everybody that's not a ghost hunter prefers to call you either a ghostbuster or a ghost hunter.
This is true. And I'm not hunting Bigfoot, so paranormal investigator is kind of wacky for me.
Sure. Everybody wants to be what they're not, I suppose. But these are two guys who are whatever you want to call them. They're fans of the ghost realm and investigating stuff like that. Tell me a little bit about you guys. Like, what brought you guys to this? What got you guys started on digging into this type of thing?
Aaron was looking for a guy to help him ghost hunt one day. And that's how I got involved. Aaron, your story is much, much longer.
I needed someone to protect me, and Nick was there. I was like, oh, man, he's like, 8 feet tall? I can use that. As a bodyguard, or a few years prior. I've been doing this for about 18 years at this point, since 1999.
Okay.
And I just got into it because I wanted to know the truth, honestly, not the created versions of what we feel should be,
sure.
but actual scientific data that has sustainable proof and can move forward with that. It's such a tough field, though, to kind of keep moving in that because it isn't considered it's considered fake, honestly. It's a pseudoscience. So science doesn't recognize it as an actual field of research or study.
Sure.
So psychology takes over a lot with this type of work. But it's so funny because there's so much more than psychology. Of course, it plays a huge part, but psychology plays a huge part in every profession, everything.
Absolutely.
Just happens. It's an easy
psychology of mowing grass.
I'm sure there is. Yeah. So I'll say there's a fear. Someone actually has a fear out there. I did a report a few years back of what it was peanut butter on a spoon that's left on the floor. Specific. It's a phobia. I can't remember the exact phobia name, but it's something phobia. And our minds are so crazy, man, that they create these fears and these walls that we feel we can't push through, or we just feel we know everything.
Sure.
So we don't want to, experiment or view the possibility. But if you ever ask a skeptic to go in a dark closet or go down the dark set of stairs, they refuse to. Even if you say there's no rats and you already checked it out, too scary.
Sure.
So.
Absolutely. What was your history before you started getting into it? Like obviously there was just this impulse of something is out there. I'm seeing evidence and hearing stories about this type of thing, and I want to look into it. Do you have any history of maybe spiritual encounters or anything in your family or anything like that sparked it more? What made you say, hey, I'm going to devote my time to this thing?
Great question, Dan. No. I mean, nothing that was so exciting where I had to feel like, I had to justify my life around this weird craziness. I had an overactive imagination when I was younger. I've had some crazy things happen, but I always put those aside at this point, whether they were or weren't. It's not really relevant. But what got me started and propelled was an extreme fear of death when I was 8 years old. And I have no clue why an 8-year-old would think. I mean, I was forward thinker. So I was just thinking, okay, this is fun right now. But what's going to happen in 10 years? I'm like, oh, crap, it's going to end sometime. What happens then?
Absolutely. And I've been there before.
Yeah.
I can relate. That's a scary thing.
Yeah.
I remember crying to my mom, what happens when I die?
Dealing with your mortality at age 8 or 10 or whatever.
Deep conversation.
It's a crazy
I
thing.
was sitting on the rocks down by the river, just like thinking,
I'm going to die.
I'm going to die. I'm supposed to be worried about like popsicles and the ice cream truck prices. I'm worried about dying.
Well, my thing was not really, to go and pursue to see if there's an afterlife. But at the time, as an 8-year-old kid, I wanted to be remembered now. I'm like, okay, well, crap, now I'm going to die. How do I stand out? Be that wonderful snowflake we know we all are. So there's two choices of a profession. I could either be the president of the United States of America.
Or a male stripper.
Or, well, that could have been. It probably was.
That's
Magic Aaron.
Yeah. Well, okay.
That's plan C. When this falls through, he's going straight to that.
Oh, you bet. Oh,
Magic
I got.
Aaron. He's going to come out with like a digital recorder and his vest on. And
It's gonna be nice. Some sexy Ghostbuster music, I guess.
Yeah.
But or a movie star. I guess those are my two choices, or three choices. So I decided that I wanted to look at and do something like that. Later, I found out at about 16, I wanted to actually investigate and see if I can do it myself. But that's going to be real easy. So I asked some peers around my world, and ministers, coaches, teachers, friends, peers, so forth. And they said no. And I go, why? I'm cool with no. I mean, it's weird, anyways. They just said because it just is. I mean, that's kind of hit
What
me
does that
wrong.
mean?
I was like, really? That's what you're going with?
So
right?
you were asking
then
them what exactly? You were asking them to assist
do
you?
ghosts exist?
Oh,
No,
you were
do
just
ghosts
asking them a
exist?
question.
Yep.
Okay.
Flat question. And well, half of them said yes, half of them said no, and both of them had the same response just because they are. And as a 16-year-old version of me, I'm like, what? I don't know. I feel like I have to. If you want something done, you got to do it yourself.
Absolutely.
So I started doing research about 2 years heavy while I was in high school, because I didn't want to do any field work until after I was legally an adult, because I knew I was going to be in some weird place. I just, conversation with the cops and all. So I graduated, hit my first cemetery, and my team I got my team, I handpicked them myself, and I gave them jobs too. I gave them a sheet of job duties of what they need to do. I think one was they had to write things down. Someone else had to take pictures. I can't remember what the other person was. But they were 21 and older, though. They had to be 21 and older to do this because I was serious. And people who are 21 and older are serious.
Because we're going to be drinking on the job.
Yeah, I guess. I'm like, damn, I didn't think about that.
I've been serious from 21 on.
Yeah, right. I see that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what started my journey, and I just kind of kept evolving.
And how many years ago did you say that was?
Well, it was back in '99, so about 18 years. I've been
wow.
actively
Cool.
researching consistently, and I may have found a video of my first actual house investigation on an SVHS tape, which is different than your standard VHS tape.
Oh, I'm aware.
The S stands for super. Oh, okay. Yes. So it's very hard for me to try to get it digital. I just got it last week, so I'm just looking to see who can digitalize that for me.
I mean, I've watched a couple of your videos, and I'm curious as to I'm a videographer, as you may or may not know. I'm curious as to who does your editing, because, I mean, from a marketing standpoint, I think they're very well edited. I think that they are, they keep your attention, and I really enjoy watching them, actually. I know that you just pointed to him, but our listening audience will not know that you pointed to him, so... Aaron, would you like to answer that question?
I do the editing. I got someone recently that I'm gonna kind of tailor into the ways of editing. So we're working with him, and he's been knocking out some pretty awesome stuff. But yeah, I've been doing the editing. I used to do television production years ago. Mind you, I'm far out, of that world. But it's like muscle memory, getting back into it and just kind of learn the programs and storytelling aspect of it all.
Yeah, I was curious about your history and like if you had a history in broadcasting and stuff like that, because you do a great job at keeping the flow going and that type of thing too. I didn't know if there was anything there.
Lay it on them.
I have ADD, so I need things to change fast for myself. So I'm like,
I hear
I'm
you.
this bad. The audience of YouTube clearly have more ADD or equal than I do, and they want to see it too. So that's my motivation. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no, I absolutely appreciate that because, yeah, I'm into the same stuff. Well, awesome. Yeah, you guys do a really cool job. Like, what equipment do you guys use? I mean, this is totally new territory for me. I've never looked into any of this stuff beyond, like, Hollywood and whatever, the History Channel's bullcrap or whatever.
Proton pack.
Yeah,
proton pack.
Yeah.
A shotgun that has salt encased shells.
We're like Winchesters, right?
But yeah, like
Sam and
exactly
Dean.
like you see on Supernatural.
Yeah.
We have a '67 Impala that we drive around in. And
yeah, break down like what goes into these investigations and these this researching that you guys do.
Well, Nick, I'll kind of let you. I'll let Nick kind of jump into some of the techier stuff with some of the tools, and we'll kind of blend in maybe a little bit of the process, which is actually really, really cool. And it does change. I feel we have like a regular
microphone left.
throwing microphones.
Oh.
So I was saying we have a process, but it's so passive at this point where it's it's like clockwork when we go in there to start getting some stuff done to really get results. But there is a rhythm to it. But for a lot of the scenarios, the paranormal is so spontaneous and not normal to begin with. So
it's paranormal
to have some. Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of like fishing in a new spot that you've never fished at before with regular bait, like a night crawler. You don't know what you're going to pull out of the water.
It's going into a new watering hole with bare hands and seeing what you can catch.
Well, tell them about our fishing pole that we always use. The
SB7. What the SB7 is, it is our favorite tool. We use it all the time next to our newest tool. But the original is the SB7. What that is, it's a small radio that scans through all the frequencies of the radios. So from, I think it's, 88.7 all the way up to past 106.5.
It's my favorite station.
Those. Oh, yeah.
It stops right there. Just
Ghost 101.6 is my jam.
But it scans through each one of those stations at 150 milliseconds per station. So it's just. And the theory of that is that the white noise created by the static of flying through the stations that fast gives the spirits at that particular location the power to be able to speak to us through the speakers. And if you watch the videos, it works.
Awesome.
Sort of. There's been times where we've caught like spirit voices, giving us intelligent responses, and there's been other times where we've actually caught air checks. The Quad City.
Yes, we're all local here.
and it's nice to start off with that type of instrument because we're coming in there and we're not jumping into it right away, but we're getting a little bit of that rapport because rapport is so important. And a lot of people I think neglect the rapport aspect when you're speaking to these unseen previous humans,
like introducing yourself type of thing. And
yeah, exactly. It might be funny feeling to maybe someone who's new or not as experienced, I should say. But it is definitely necessary because once you build that rapport, I think the reaction from the spirit boxes in general are positive. And the nice thing with hitting that positive hit or the positive read so early on into the investigation is now we know they're talking to us and they're open to communicate to us. There's something here. Now let's play around. Now let's see what experiments we can do to see if we can say, touch that, touch this.
Yeah, I mean, it's like walking into a room full of a bunch of ancient people and you walk into the room. Do you say, move this desk so I know you're here? Or do you say, Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Aaron.
Exactly.
Usually,
Yeah.
exactly how we go. We usually state our names and sometimes even mention how far we traveled to be there that night to talk with them. And
Yeah, I've watched the videos, and it seems like you guys do that well. I mean, you go in and you say, "Hey, this is my name," and it seems like there's a much better response than other videos that I've watched. And a lot of times they say your name back, and from what it seems, they say like, "Hi, Nick," "Hi, Aaron," or whatever.
yeah.
The one of the neat tools that Nick kind of mentioned, he said we have a kind of a newer tool that we've been using. A lot of the tools that do get the electromagnetic spikes and hits like that are very nice for that physical, the audible interaction, as well as seeing if something's actually hitting it. So that's good. But the new spirit communication device that we've been kind of working with in adapting to our own style is actually called the Spiritus. It's like you spell it like spirit, then us.
Yeah.
It's a phone application. It's super awesome. I reached out to the inventor right when I started using it because I'm very uncomfortable using tools that I do not know why I'm using them or how they're working,
Absolutely.
at least theoretically. And so I had him break it all down for me, and he was nice enough to reply back, and still keep communication with me. I'm actually on his on the website under testimonials, right below Nick Groff from Paranormal Lockdown. What?
For those of you that live in Alfredo, Illinois, he's on TV.
So
I don't know the name, but he sounds reputable.
Oh, wait, trust me, guys. Trust me. I see ghosts. You can believe me. So yeah, we use that, and that's been doing. I think that's doing justice for the field because it's giving us an avenue where we can excel the communication aspect, and I feel I'm understanding how the hits are happening because I'm a big why guy. Like I'm a thinker. I look at something and why is that working? Why is that doing that? And I feel like I'm coming up with something. Actually, I'm talking to a buddy of mine tomorrow who can and has the resources and team to create applications. And I'm going to see if we can work with kind of the idea that I have in my head. It could fail completely, but I at least got to get it out because in my head it works perfect.
Absolutely. For people who are interested in this, like just beginners, we're not doing an endorsement here or anything, but would you want to talk a little bit more about the app and like what he said, how it works, and whether or not you would say, hey, if you're interested in this stuff, go for it, and that type of thing?
Oh, yeah.
He's going to love you for this. You have to send it to him.
I will.
Freebie.
I will. So the application, the Spiritus, it's a ghost box app. You can get it right off of the your iPhone or iPod or even Android. It scans frequencies much like the Spirit Box does. The nice thing with the Spiritus is it's controlled a little bit more because it utilizes its own sound banks, 4 separate sound banks. The nice thing with the sound banks as it scans those sound banks is the sound banks themselves do not produce real words at all. So they're phonemes, like the p-k-t type sounds, and just random screams and random noises here and there. I mean, they're nothing that that's a real word or real phrase. But they are part of some phrase or some words, but again, they're not anything complete.
So it kind of pinpoints and seeks out the more important things, like it filters out some of the noise for you. Is that what you're saying?
It does a little bit with the noise, but the idea is really to give we'll say that this is a canvas. So the application itself is a canvas to an artist, right? So he has his paintbrush, and each time the new sound wave hits, after it leaves, there's an audio wave that's left behind, just a little bit of a tail until it hits again, the next time. That audio wave that isn't in the space of just coming through, but kind of after the effect, it's in that live area right before the switch. Yeah. That wave may allow to give our friends, our entities, our spirit friends around us that ink to start painting and to start talking, so they can take those radio waves and say now small words or even phrases we've caught. We've caught a phrase that sounded, and we caught this a couple times in one voice and no real inflections. It says, "Can we still hear Aaron teach in the fire?" It was so cool. I thought it said "change in the fire" for a while, because again, these are
Get in the fire and change.
yeah. So someone in Instagram's like, I think they said "teach," and I'm like, well, that makes more sense to the overall video, because it was very school heavy. So the idea is it just keeps scanning, keeps allowing that loose audio to be gripped and really used. I think it's cool. I think it's onto something. It's still a tough and a very new type of system, but it's the way we need to go for right now until we figure something else out better. And like I said, I feel I got an idea percolating in my head that can knock out the noise even more and produce a more controlled environment, because that's my thing. My thing is to take this straight to science and be like, hey, you can duplicate this.
Absolutely.
So
The time you told us Satan is real was pretty cool.
You heard that live, and the reaction was live. We had a very religious area I think we went to.
We're going to get into that very soon. So, go ahead. We can transition right now.
Well, let me say one real quick. If people are looking forward to getting into this sort of thing, all I can say is do not look at Wikipedia. Do your research in a library or hard books. Trust me, do a lot of research. I'll say, I went extreme for 2 years. I'll say for 6 months, go pretty hard. I'd rather see you do it a year and then get with the group. Don't go alone. There's plenty of functional groups out there. See if you can mentor with a group and move forward, that way. I think that'd be the best.
Books, baby. Don't be an as seen on TV investigator.
That's another topic. But let's go there first. I wanted to get into kind of the Hollywood TV shows, movies, that type of thing. What's your stance on that? Like the Warrens, the Conjuring, stuff like that. Do you, as somebody who is personally researching it, I'm never going to get the Warrens on this show. Otherwise, I'd ask them these questions for sure. But as somebody who is personally
There's Joshua Warren
doing his own research, what's your take on Hollywood and what they're presenting in this?
Well, for me, Hollywood's entertainment. It's just that. And I think you knew even asking the question. It is what it is, because we are in a pseudoscience type environment, so no one's really taking it serious anyway. And I say that loosely. The big, science organizations and the big thinkers, they're the ones who are not taking it as serious as I believe it should be. The movies are going to continue to emphasize and
bring the thrills, bring the money makers.
Yeah, and that's not wrong. That's what they're there for.
That even rolls over to the TV shows, bringing the thrills.
Yeah,
money makers.
Yeah. The TV shows, and even if we jump to like the actual reality paranormal groups, I think they are a necessity, and I say that loosely. They bring awareness to the field, and they did when they started jumping out there. A lot of groups started coming out, which good and bad, but you're going to get that anywhere. We needed the ignition. At some point, someone that's going to be smarter than me is going to figure this out, and that's my big goal, is just to put that spark into someone who can be like,
get people asking questions and people thinking about it.
Yeah, exactly. How about you, Nick? Is like the TV shows or movies? What do you think about them?
I'm going to use this time to give a little shout out to our good buddy Craig Powell down in Australia.
Ow!
I completely agree with him. He said that the best TV show that you could watch if you're interested in getting into ghost hunting is to actually watch the first 3 seasons of Ghost Hunters on Sci-Fi. That is as close as you can get to ghost hunting, because there'd be some episodes where they'd be like, well, we got nothing. Thanks for letting us come out. We'll see you. Bye.
Yeah.
The episode was there. And that's truly what it's like. Sometimes you get a single EVP of hi.
Right.
And other times you get nothing. Then other times you wind up with, 16 EVPs of full sentences, and all your your K2 meters and your mel meters are lighting up the whole time. And that's what it's like. And that's what the first 3 seasons of Ghost Hunters is like.
Nice.
And it's like that 4th season, and the producers are like, people are starting to drop off, dudes. You guys need to step it up, or we need to start making something.
Kick it up a notch and make it more sensational than you're doing.
Yeah, that's where you get the clip of them at Eastern State Penitentiary in that robed thing.
Yeah.
Ran up the walkway and seen their camera and turned around and walked away. And you could see he was like wearing like K-Swiss tennis shoes. And
Yeah, and that's the problem with having a producer. So like I said, the TV groups, I mean, they're good for the awareness, but then it does come to that negative aspect where now all the people that are fanning over these investigators,
right.
Which, I mean, they earn them through their own right, but
They got to keep a show going.
Yeah, they're actors first, investigators second, and nothing's wrong with that. They're doing the job that they're given, but the producer tells the story. The producer does the editing. So then if something needs to be scarier, if they need to do something else to get more ratings, I mean, the producer has complete control of that.
Absolutely.
Good or bad.
Yeah, I would say that goes for anything, like even the news. I mean, back in the day, you had the news where you turn it on, it was a couple hours a day, and you might have the news guys say, hey, there's no news today. Now we have 24/7 news because they are going to drum up something to get ratings, to get numbers, and make money.
24/7 news on Trump shoving that prime minister. They just keep covering it and showing it and covering it and getting, Ja Rule's comments on it. And
Absolutely.
We're going live to Nellie in St. Louis. Nellie, what do you think? That's messed up. They keep dragging it.
Keep repeating the same story over and over and over again from a different source and everything, just to make sure that we have it going constantly. And I think that's a problem. So I very much appreciate you pointing that out in this area of conversation, because yeah, I mean, if you go, and I've watched some of your videos where you go and you spend 3 minutes trying to get some connection and you don't get anything, and you say, hey, that's life. That's how it works. That's the real world that we live in, and we're not going to give you 100% entertainment all day long. That's not what we're here to do.
Yeah, I mean, we can't. Some of the spirit boxes are nice to us because, again, I go back to rapport. Nick and I, we've been doing this for years and years, and we've built up that rapport. So there's things I feel that recognize us when we want to start using our tools that react.
Sure. So you think, like with the rapport thing, in the spirit world, that these beings know you, they know your history, they know everything about you, and they respect you for it. Like, is that kind of the case?
In a sense, I'm not sure if they all respect us. But
I'm sure they're very excited and happy to be playing Haunted House for us.
But they do come down and talk. Some of them have been really nice. We had one, and I was just reviewing it again today. I was going over some videos, and it was almost like kind of like a threatening one. I was doing a spirit box communication, and there's a big phrase that came through that said, "May God have mercy on your soul." And then they talked about, I got to go to Jesus, and like, this is coming through. And I had another one that said, "Run, run away," and da-da-da. And then all of a sudden, I had a spirit voice go over and said, "He's not running. Aaron's no pussy."
That's kind of awesome.
There you go. You got my back, buddy. I'm not going anywhere.
That's very cool. So what's your take on, like, The Conjuring based off the Warren, like, even just the Warrens and stuff like that? Do you know much about them and their story and all that type of thing?
Yeah. Actually, there's, and I'm not sure the relationship he has to them, but there's a gentleman by the name of Joshua Warren. Definitely advise everyone who are looking to do this, grab some of his books. He takes it very scientifically, much different than, of course, the other Warrens. They did take a very spiritual step to it, but again, that was the world, that was the environment that they were given, and that was their comfort zone. So they've interpreted those actions of which they created or had into a demonic.
Yeah.
Man, denomination. And then maybe a demon's stopping me from using the word dynamic. Yeah. So anyways, so they interpreted that way. So everything was very negative, and not all of it was negative, but they had very nasty encounters, and you see it, at least in the movies. And of course, again, they they interpret those movies a little more excited than they probably were at the time. But at the time, mind you, if you were there live, probably would be 100 times more exciting than the movie. But again, it goes back to, I think, and you brought this up the other day, Nick, pareidolia, which is an ink blot of the mind. Excuse me. The idea of pareidolia is we are used to senses such as sight, taste, hearing, and we can easily create our own version of something that we may see. In a cloud, I see a unicorn. I hear something. I hear Get Out. I taste something. I taste poop. I taste blood. So there's all that. There's even touch. You might feel a muscle spasm and it feels, you're in a spicy area, your muscle spasms. Something touched me, something hit me. So, I mean, there's those things. And I feel that does take place quite a bit, especially in a lot of the negative situations. A majority of people don't get attacked or don't get injured seriously by a spirit. What happens is they see a spirit and further research, they get so freaking scared that they forget there's a wall behind them or there's a staircase right around the corner. They trip over their own feet, they injure themselves. So, yeah, with the Warrens stuff, I mean, there's legitimacy to it, I believe, through their documents. But also, if Nick and I went in those same scenarios, and of course, people that are familiar with their stories are screaming right now, going, "Oh my God, they can't do anything like the Warrens!"
Right.
And trust me, it would be a much different scenario if Nick and I were in there. I guarantee that I wouldn't get thrown against a wall or anything.
Yeah. Do you think a lot of the sensationalism is like moneymaker? I mean, I don't know their history that much, but they're definitely selling the crap out of books, and they're being made into movies, and their stories going into TV shows and things like that. Do you think that a lot of the more things moving, them being thrown, do you think stuff like that, do you believe it? Do you think that it is actual, or do you think that it is just created for profit?
I believe it happened to them, whether it was paranormal.
Yeah, there's that video of them with that little girl trying to do her homework, and that poltergeist keeps yanking the chair out from underneath of her at the kitchen table. That's Ed and Lorraine Warren.
Oh, right.
Wow.
Yeah, they capture some pretty interesting stuff. So, yeah, no, I definitely believe that they had conviction, that they absolutely had a purpose and did what they did. And they did take some interesting cases, but some of it may have been exaggerated. I mean, again, it's hard to tell.
Right. Sure.
We can only go off the experience that we've had. And again, we've been doing this for a lot of years. We've been doing a lot of private homes, at least personally myself. And maybe we should start doing more of those troubled homes to see what's going on, because at the end of the day, it's science. I mean,
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, me personally, I'm a skeptical person on everything, and my wife has been looking into some of the ghost stuff. She actually gave me some of the Ed and Lorraine Warren quotes to ask you guys about it, because it's not my field at all, and I'm not going to pretend like it is. But you guys knowing firsthand it's very, very interesting stuff to talk about, because you're doing it. I'm not. So I want to get people's thoughts on these things that are experiencing these things on their own.
Fun fact, Lorraine Warren has a chunk of the cross that Christ was crucified on.
All right.
Supposedly.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Good for her.
There's a documentary that she's in. I forgot the name, escapes me right now.
It's the Amityville one.
The Amityville one.
Yeah.
You actually get to see it. They show it. It's like a big splinter.
Where do you acquire Christ's cross relics? Was that an eBay purchase?
It was passed down.
Well, 2 years ago, somebody down Moline over here had Jesus's autograph, and I almost jumped on it on Craigslist for $500. Yeah, it was a velvet painting that they took Sharpie and wrote Jesus Christ on it.
500.
Yeah,
I think it'd be more.
You would think so, but whatever Nick's willing to pay for it.
Yeah,
that's what it's worth.
It sure does look good hanging above the mantle right next to my Richard Petty.
Absolutely. On that note, I do have a couple Jesus Christ signatures if you're interested here.
Wow, he's a superstar.
They're all in velvet, written in blood, but if you're interested, I'm willing to let them go for a fair price.
300. No more.
So yeah, we're talking about kind of the spiritual stuff. We're getting into that. Like, what's you guys' stance on spirituality, like afterlife? I mean, obviously, you believe that there's something after death. Okay. Well, like, what would you say you ascribe to, like, as far as like Christianity or like religion, that type of thing? Do you guys believe that it's you leave here and there's heaven or something, and these people are kind of caught in the middle of that, or do you think that it's just spirits hung over in the middle and they're going into an abyss? Like, what are you guys' thoughts on spirituality in general? Well,
I know I'm an atheist. I again take everything very, very, very scientifically. So I do believe it's not as magical as what we created it to be. Life after. Again, I could be incredibly wrong, but I've gotten reads or voice spirits that said no God, but you already knew that. Okay. The whole phrase. I could even send you the link if I can probably get you a clip of it.
You talked about you started to talk about they said the devil is real or something like that.
Well, you got to think about the consciousness, right? So that's real. That's something that science can't put in ones and zeros either. So now we have the consciousness science doesn't know, and there's the afterlife that I've experienced, at least. I experienced, the truth there. And science doesn't acknowledge that. So there's the consciousness that they don't know about, and there's the afterlife that they don't acknowledge. Well, of course, Einstein said, energy can only be transferred, blah, blah. Of course, he said stuff after that. A lot of the investigators like to hang on the, energy can't be destroyed, only transferred. But there's actually more to it than that. Sure. But he does have a point there. The energy has to go somewhere. And even if you take a microscope to the brain, you're going to see sparks of energy. You see it there. The spark, I believe, it happens upon conception. When it hits, sperm hits the egg, boom, spark. Now it starts looping into the organs. The science starts taking over. And then now, the brain is the actual computer. That's what you have to control. This vessel that we have is only here to get us to this only job is to get us to the other side. While the computer in our head, because you can replace an arm. I mean, not well, but it can be done. You can replace a heart transplants, but you can't replace a brain. Even now they're practicing on replacing heads or something like that. But again, you still keep the brain. Yeah. Oh yeah. But again, you keep the brain though. The brain you have to keep because that's who you are. So with that in mind, with that consciousness in mind, let's say that you went through an incredibly you were raised very religious in a religious environment. That's all you knew. Do. When you pass away. That and let's say you continue that and you pass away with that mindset. Well, that's what your body's trained. That's what your organs created, in a sense, with your consciousness. And now you're free for all with your energy. You have no clue why there is no heaven or hell. You're just sitting in limbo, lost. I mean, we found a few lost kind of religious spirit sayings. And you're just there because nothing's happened that you were told was going to happen because of man's original fear of death. So we had to create something to make things nice. Sure. But yeah, I mean it's so much more than that, and as long as you keep an open mind, you can probably really get through a lot of it. But I feel with that in mind, we got the whole Satan is real stuff. Probably because that group, that time frame, those individuals, that community,
you're still stuck with that
believed. Thought? Yeah, no, they absolutely did. So we're demons to them. We're the devil. The devil's real. Angels will come down. I had one person say that. I asked them where they're from. They said they're from heaven. Like,
what are you doing here?
The Bible, you're not supposed to be able to speak with me. Yeah, right. So, I mean, there's just it's sad. It is sad because if you look at it that way, and mind you, I could be completely wrong. I really can, and I'm also very open to understand that I can be completely wrong. But with my studying, kind of where I'm going, with it, I feel I'm on a better position than a lot of people.
Sure. Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of sad though, because you can't go up to someone who's very into their their culture and their beliefs, their backstory and their family heritage. And you can't just say, well, I want you to be better,
Right.
so keep an open mind, keep clear-headed, just enjoy. I don't know. I feel like atheists actually have the best bet of passing on, because worst case scenario, just done.
Yeah.
But if something else happens, they didn't expect that, so they got to improvise. They got to deal with it.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So
Nick, what are your thoughts?
We're going to go with heaven and hell for the win.
Ow.
All right. So,
I'm
like,
going to say it.
briefly, like, how were you raised, and what are your thoughts on that type of thing? You do believe in the alternative to just lights out?
Yeah, I do believe in the alternative, just lights out. I mean, we have proof. I'm actually holding a piece of paper that says lights out on it.
I was like, what? You knew we got interviewed for Lights Out?
Yeah, but I was raised Methodist and not like as strict as most people, go. I mean, we went to church on Easter. And
Not as strict as I was.
The people that live up the street have returned to us. Hey, we're back. It's Easter. In my later years, I've just kind of relaxed a bit on it, and I think the eye-opening experience for me was when I first started doing this. We started getting a lot of EVPs, electronic voice phenomena, just straight. The recorder was sitting on a shelf recording, and we were getting threats of bodily harm, killing us.
Yeah.
We actually took those recordings to the Davenport Diocese one time, and they had an exorcist there. His name was Father Modded. He's got books on exorcism. He used to travel to Italy for the World Series of Exorcists, you could call it. There was a different name, but that's just what
Best football game ever.
And we played the EVPs for him, and he sprung. He's 88 years old, and he jumped up, and he's like, "Where did you get these from?"
Yeah.
Because we had the threats. Then there was the name Bartholomew was the name that came across, and I have a medal of Saint Michael in my wallet, and we walked into this house with the recorders on, and we didn't even say anything, and it said, "Saint Michael be warned."
Wow.
So it knew it. I had that in my wallet, in my back pocket. It's not like I was dangling it around and being like, "Look,
What do I have?"
touch me."
You'd never said it or anything like that.
Yeah, and that day at the diocese, he said it was sad that you see more of the devil than you do God. And on that note, we've got file after file after file of "I'm going to kill you," "I'm the devil," "Satan is real."
Sure.
Yeah.
You never get a "I love you, my child," or anything like that.
Sure.
I got a "You're blessed" once.
You're blessed.
Yeah.
I mean, it
How'd
could've
that
been
year
a
go?
Yeah. But it's not like, you get "you're blessed" one time.
Yeah, like say, that was one. Yeah, you're right.
compared to, 1,000
Months ago.
threats of bodily harm and skinning you alive.
A lot of
stuff
threats,
like that.
actually.
Yeah. I think it's awesome that you guys kind of disagree on what exactly you're researching, but you guys work together. That's
Best way to
really
have
cool.
it.
Yeah. Aaron, what are your thoughts on Lorraine Warren? She has a quote that is, "I've never met an atheist in a haunted house." You'd say, "No, look at me. You haven't met Aaron yet."
Yeah.
He hasn't been to the Quad Cities.
No, it's kind of taboo. It's kind of taboo to even call myself atheist. You don't hear any real investigators, call themselves that. I feel like more should, but there are some.
I think it's great. I think
that
it's
do-
great that somebody's taking the hard stance there, and you guys are taking kind of polar opposite stances on what exactly you're looking into. That's awesome.
And it's awesome because so many times you get groups that are so on the same. And mind you, our synergy level is like off the charts. I mean, I will not go. I do not want to go to another location without Nick.
Sure.
A moment.
Thanks, buddy.
Cue the music.
Love you.
We'll watch the videos and see if you actually stick to that.
But yeah, I see groups that are all so the same. That if something happens, everyone's going, "Yeah, that's it. They're just kind of like dominoes, all agreeing. And I don't know, Nick and I, we're thinkers. We step back and with our viewpoints and the reality of the area that we're in, and we make I feel like a good judgment call. So yeah, it's just consistency and you know,
there's really not a whole lot that we've had to argue about. Everything's been pretty straightforward and clear. So
yeah. I mean, if you guys, I think that's the healthiest possible way that this can be approached, because if you guys had the exact same viewpoints, this would be like a ghost circle jerk. You guys just like, well, obviously God's not real because of this, but instead you have one guy that's like, this is reaffirming what I think, and you're saying this is reaffirming what you think with the same evidence, which I think is very healthy and very cool.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, especially for Nick, have you guys had any concern about like tampering, meddling with these things? I mean, like the Methodist church and stuff like that. I'm sure if you brought this up to your everyday Methodist, they would say, hey, leave that alone because you're getting into areas that you shouldn't be dealing with.
What's exciting about that is, like I said, I was at the Davenport Diocese talking to Father Moddett, who's now passed on, but at the time when we were there, he blessed us, and it felt like I had a sunburn on my foot that come up to my knee, then to my hip on my right side, across my rib cage, across my shoulder, and it hit my ear and exited my ear as we was getting blessed with holy water.
Yeah.
This was a 2-hour meeting we had with him, and he said, you know, the book says you guys shouldn't be trying to establish communication like you are, but I'm not going to stop you from doing it. Just remember, you're not the church. So basically that we, you know, if we do think that there's a demon out there, not to go in guns blazing and blessing everything with holy water, and because you could get in trouble. He actually told us an exciting story one time about exorcising a guy. They had a guy sitting in a chair with two people on each side of him, holding him down on his shoulders and his arms. And when he splashed him in the face with the holy water during the exorcism, the guy flung off both the people that were holding him down and did a backflip from a seated position out of a chair, and then wound up standing behind the chair.
Wow. Was he a gymnast before this?
I don't know. But I mean, you're sitting in the middle
80-year-old
of the
man
diocese listening to, you know, what's the M word that they call those guys? Monstrum or whatever. Dan, help me.
I've got nothing.
But
monks,
you know,
I don't know.
He was, you know, you're sitting there listening to him tell the story, and you can't just be like, he's lying.
Yeah. You know, and that's the thing, because so many experiences are personal.
Absolutely.
I have no right to stand up to someone and say that you're completely wrong. This is why. Absolutely not. I mean, I just don't have that evidence right now. I refuse to.
Especially a member of the clergy.
Yeah, right. I guess it's different than a
bullshit priest.
Well, even that you're disrespecting him in his profession. How's he going to take a stance on that? Because he's been doing that for how many years now? How much training? How much studying? I'm not a guy just off the street that's watched a couple YouTube videos and so forth.
Life to it, actually.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely a huge decision.
Yeah, this whole podcast is just kind of, I mean, the whole thing is, I don't know if you've listened to any of them. I assume that you haven't, which is fine. But our whole podcast is just discussing uncomfortable topics and things that people, I started from the beginning saying, what are things that my family would pray that I don't bring up around the Thanksgiving dinner table? When we all sit down together as a family, they're like, this guy's probably going to talk about conspiracies, politics, religion, stuff like that. And
my family hates when someone else brings up ghosts to me while I have one of those. Yeah. All of them go, when someone goes, so I hear you hunt ghosts. And everybody grabs their plate and stands up. Yeah. Everyone's like, man, they all hear groans.
We're going to go eat in the garage and smoke.
It's like, yes, I do.
Yeah, I mean, all of these things, there's like every topic that we've talked about, there's basically a stigma around it, where if you even bring it up, people are like, oh, okay, this guy now. And
a lot of eyes were rolled at me when I said I'm pushing this as an actual profession with Nick and I with ghostcrier.com, crowdfunding from our Patreon. And it was weird, bringing it up a couple years ago as we're still pushing this. It's a lot more comfortable. I'm like, this is strange, so I'm just going to own it.
Yeah, you're out of the closet. You're like, hey, right. I believe this, and I'm doing this.
And I talk really slow when I say, like, where I'm from. I'm like, Aaron G. Thompson over at ghostcrier.com. And that's how I make my phone calls. And they're like, what? I'm like, I knew this. Man, I try to make it easy.
You know who you're calling.
Yeah, right. Well, I'm calling them at that point.
A lot of people who dig into these things say things come home with them and things impact their personal life. Atheist boy over here probably doesn't have that, but
they're surrounded by me. I just don't know that they're here.
Yeah. I mean, have you guys seen any impact on your personal lives after digging into this type of thing?
Last weekend, we was at the Psychic and Paranormal Convention in Dubuque, Iowa. And for all the Australians listening, that's WQ, Iowa.
Sure.
We were up there, and I was talking with the woman that puts the show on. She's actually a big fan of ours, Kelly. And I was letting her know that I thought something followed me home from our last investigation. And at the end of the show, she come over with a little piece of sage, and she goes, light it on fire, blow it out, state your intentions, and wave the smoke on you. That's supposed to drive whatever followed me home off of me.
What is the significance of sage?
You'll have to ask her.
All right.
I just know that I've always been saged. It's like holy water for Wiccans there.
Sure.
We'll put it that way.
Yeah.
That last investigation we did, it's on YouTube, the Edinburgh Manor one. I do believe that something followed me home. It's not the first time. It won't be the last time. It's not terrible, though, because both the cats came up to me afterwards. But ever since then, I've always seen crap out of the corner of my eye, be laying in bed at night, and you just feel like someone's watching you, you know?
Sure.
Like, you ever get that feeling like when you're watching TV and somebody else comes in the room, you can hear them, like, just their presence without even, like, looking and turning to see that they're there?
Yep.
I mean, I just feel like that ever since that investigation before then, I was feeling fine.
Sure. Nothing, like, nefarious, like, harmful or anything so far. Right.
No, not harmful. And that's one thing that the priest at the diocese said. He goes, animals will be your best bet to judge.
Sure.
If there is anything wrong with you. You know, suddenly you come home and we have 2 cats, and they're both always there to greet me at the door.
Yeah.
Aaron's got a cat.
Just fighting demons all the time.
Yeah, clawing them off. Cats, dogs, those would be one way to tell if you do have something
Sure.
on you, and you get home and suddenly your pets aren't the same. But
Right.
for me, it's just noticing crap out of my eyes. I've heard my name a couple times, like in the basement doing laundry. You just be sitting there, you know, loading the washer, and all of a sudden you hear like, and it kind of stops you in your tracks for a little bit. Like, come on, man, I'm trying to wash my underpants, dude.
Yeah. Nick, as the more spiritual guy, like, do you have concerns about that? Well, how long have you been doing this personally? I know Aaron said how long he's been doing it. You're more new to it, right? And do you have concerns for your future doing this type of thing? Do you think that it could impact you personally in the future?
I've been doing this since 2010, and personally, for the future, I think I will be fine. I proceed with caution. I've taken courses on dealing with demonic hauntings, and I do have contacts at the diocese. If it does get super bad, I have contacts with the Wiccans if it gets super bad.
Sure. So from your personal perspective, do you believe that you're talking to people that are in limbo, or do you believe that you're talking to demons? Because, I mean, for me personally, I was raised very conservative Christian and everything, and looking into this stuff, it's hard for me to separate that and be like, this is something completely different. Where do you land on what this actually is that you're talking to? Because as somebody who believes in the spirit realm and believes in angels, demons, that type of thing, whether they're harmless or not, do you think that you're talking to people from the past, or do you believe that you're talking to something else that, even if it's harmless, might be just trying to convince you of a spirit world that doesn't consist of angels and demons? Like, where do you land there?
I land right in the middle, depending on the history of location and, you know, the claims from the property owners. That's usually where we start. We don't just go in and, you know, like Zach Baggins and everything's a demon, everything's a portal to hell.
Sure.
But there has been investigations where, you know, the people have come to us and been like, I think there's something dark in my house. And we approach that a little differently. Whereas there are other investigations where, you know, my son says he sees somebody on the steps that night.
Yeah.
You approach that different. All right, well, we're going to walk in and we're going to park our butts in front of the steps and wait a couple hours and see what happens.
Sure.
Whereas the people that were, you know, more concerned about the dark energy in the house, we had to take a step back and actually look at them as a whole. And then from there, we had to proceed with cautiously investigating the house.
Sure.
Because you don't want to end up like that guy that did the backflip out of a chair.
Right.
And that's always something that's been in the back of my mind is, that could happen. And that's why I carry the St. Michael pennant. And in my case, I do have holy water from the Davenport Diocese, just in case anything does happen. Also followed by a book of prayers in Latin and in English.
Sure.
Don't ask me to try the Latin part.
I'll spend the next 15 minutes with you reading Latin. Go ahead.
And yeah,
perfect.
That was good. When I first started this back in the early 2000s, or started getting into it, I actually, and I don't know if you knew this, Nick, I learned how to at least go through the motions of doing an exorcist, or an exorcism. Yeah. So I learned what to say. I carried around a Bible. I didn't know what I was going to run into, and this is me kind of coming in with all my tools.
Sure.
So my tool belt was full. I wanted to learn everything I could.
Open-mindedly saying, hey, whatever we run into here, might as well be prepared for it, even if I don't believe it.
But again, like him, don't ask me to say, because I think I spoke it out maybe a couple times. Most of it was in my head, and as I realized, I don't know how to pronounce words in my head very well. So,
they'll get the point.
There's a moment. And the sage thing, I guess it's someone described it to me at one point when the cleansing happens. You cleanse your body or cleanse the area. It's like going to a sauna, and you're just kind of getting the extra sweat out in a sense. Stinky.
Shouldn't need the sage, but apparently I forgot to say please do not follow me, because I've heard that works in the past. But
I did say that on my way
30 people around a formal mental institution that kind of wears you out at 3 a.m.
Makes you mental. We were tired.
Well, Aaron, have you had any experiences with anything kind of following you home, or seen anything, or experienced anything outside of your investigations?
I'm probably something's followed me home, because I've even been in scenarios where I've told them to follow me home. And I feel like when I do put the spirit box on, a lot of the times the reaction comes pretty quick. So
you fall asleep to the sound of a spirit box.
Yeah. You know what?
I actually fell asleep on investigation before. That's probably a good sign.
Well, I think I have too. It's tiring sometimes. What I want to do is get someone like a skeptic like yourself, Dan, and send you in a slow walk, with a head cam or something, to the darkest area and just around the area by yourself.
We're going to build you a vest like on MTV Sphere. You remember that show?
I do not.
All right, Dan. But you're going to be in for a treat.
I never had cable. My family was poor, conservative Christian pastor.
Oh, no. We need a spirit box running the whole time, though.
Just so you know, I'm in a completely different place now, spiritually. So nothing you're saying is surprising me.
But I was dropped once, which was wacky. Because,
as a kid,
well, probably more than that as a kid. But when I was doing an investigation back in 2004, right around there, 2005. I went to a cemetery. I was laughing, mind you. I was in a good mood. I was with a couple other people. One happened to be a skeptic, and we were entering this cemetery. And right when I touched the gate, I don't know what came over me. I fell to the ground in tears, crying, just with this intense fear.
Wow.
And just pushing him and everyone in front of me for like a blast of 5 seconds. I mean, it happened real quick. It was quick action and quick movements. But that was wild. I've never had an episode like that before or after. I think after that, I put like a passive protection spell on me, if that's what you want to call it.
Sure.
But I think it's just, again, conviction and confidence, and just really putting your energy, good vibes out there. I can't confirm it, but I feel I got a good passive protection vibe.
So do you think that was spirit around you, a good spirit, or like, what is your take on that?
It's hard to say that. Like, I want to, because I was going ghost hunting by a cemetery that I've had another really awesome experience there years prior. So I was just kind of going back for repeat. The emotion changed in a heartbeat. There's no real reason it should have changed. But again, I mean, I can't jump to that conclusion because people have brains, people have triggers. Maybe maybe I did have a mental tick,
Sure.
from when I was there before. It was awkward. I can't sit here and say it's a spirit, but what I can say is typically that energy does influence the way someone thinks, because it's raw emotion, it's raw vibrations. You don't have your shell to kind of encompass all that.
Sure.
And you get it sometimes when you walk into a house and say your significant other or good family member or friend has their back turned, and you just feel the air is thicker. There's no reason. I mean, they're doing nothing out of the ordinary, but have their back turned, but you know something's wrong because those vibrations are hitting you. Take away the shell and just have that raw vibration. That's all they have. I mean, it hits you pretty hard. A lot of people, mistake it for fear, can't take it, and it gets more of those violent scenarios. But
Absolutely. Yeah. So Aaron, you're married, correct?
This is true.
I saw the
we
ring.
just bought our house. Yes.
Yeah.
Got a ring on.
Just curious about, how long have you been married? What's her stance on your crazy life that you've been pursuing since long before, I assume, you even met her, since it's been this long? How does she feel about what you're doing with your life right now?
She has an ongoing theory that all spirits and ghosts are homeless people inside the building telling us to get out and go home.
So she's pretty skeptical.
She's a skeptic. She has a very powerful relationship with Jesus Christ.
Sure.
And I will not tether or taint that, because that's, again, not my thing.
Sure.
And I really do think if you do have a religious belief or mindset or a stand, own it. Don't go half on it. Own it completely, because, again, that mental capacity after we pass is so important to be in that state. You don't need to be half, in that scenario. It's just too important. So if you have something, it's easier for you just to own it, because I feel you're going to have a better situation and a better community that way. So yeah, I'm 100. I support her 100%. I go to church occasionally.
Sure.
He sits in the back pissed.
Like, bow your head. I'm like, what's everyone doing?
I don't want to.
I'm like, am I supposed to repeat this?
Yeah, he's just lipping along with everybody, singing and praying.
I'm just making up my own song, singing Creed.
People turn around.
So have you all?
And peace be with you. He's like, yeah, I guess.
I'll read the
And to
prayers you
you.
tell me to read.
Understand?
I'll stand and kneel when I need to. Aaron, what is your
pretty rocking.
what is your history? I mean, I don't want to get too much into religious stuff because we're about pretty close to done here. Like, what is your history with religion, and what brought you to atheism, and how does that impact your understanding of what you're doing?
You started listening to Slayer, didn't you?
It was Kiss, actually.
Oh.
That's where everybody starts.
Right. It's the gateway. I was raised to believe, and in it wasn't a strict religious environment. I mean, my mom allowed us to have more of that open thinking, but by all definition, I mean, she goes to church. She's a part of her church. That's how I was raised. I went to church often. Again, not as much as some families and some, but yeah, I was raised with that as a belief system. And for years, as a child, that's what I believed. That made sense to me. You're gonna laugh at me. Okay, this is the moment that it's stupid. It's stupid. If I go back, I wouldn't even. I get it. So everyone who's listening, I understand. I thought a little harder after the fact.
It's all good.
However, the moment I decided that there was no God was when my little poodle died. Poodle dog died of like 15 years old. I was like, I don't know.
He was like Wayne's World out there holding the dog. Why, God? Why?
No, that wasn't.
There is
that
no
wasn't
God.
the
My
moment.
poodle died.
No, the moment came after. The moment came after.
Satanic Bible and moved on.
No, it's when I prayed that I can see the dog one more time, and I gave him a week. I did not see that dog, and then I decided to take a hard step back.
Sure.
Oh, I said it was stupid.
I give you your chance, you son of a.
And I think shortly after that, I gave a second chance. I tried Wolverine claws too. That was a fail.
Yeah.
So there's 2 strikes. I was like, I don't even want the third one.
Clenching your fist,
Oh.
just hoping that
I still do occasionally.
Ask and you
just,
shall receive, and you did not receive those Wolverine claws. So
you go to
obviously, no God.
Carry a box with some chicken bones in it with your pitcher.
I
and
know.
Make a deal with the devil. You'd probably get a set of claws.
I know.
So is that the main thing? Just Unanswered prayer, in your opinion?
It got me thinking. It just got me thinking outside the box. So it was my step away that it could be a possibility, and of course I hung on a little bit. It wasn't a clean break, but
so you never asked for Wolverine claws before that point?
I probably did. That was probably an ongoing prayer. And like I said, I still ask for it, I think.
The puppy passed away, then he figured out Wolverine was real on Saturday morning cartoons. That's the timeline exactly.
So if at some point you get Wolverine claws, you'll totally change your stance.
Yeah. What if I tell you I have Wolverine claws now?
Well, then I would really question your atheism at that point.
Well, I got the old-fashioned way. They put me in a big thing and they just put the metal in me.
He's really just in it for the kick-ass sticker, the flying spaghetti monster.
Ooh.
Again, not to dig too deeply into it, but do you have anything else on that, like your conversion to atheism?
It was really just the questions. Even when walking in, going in my young teens and walking, or late teens and walking into ghost hunting. Mind you, I didn't completely disassociate myself, but I did want to take it grounded, very scientific. Sure. I knew it was important, and I wanted to get real facts. But yeah, it was really a slow burn. I mean, again, that that moment was probably gave me the rubber band to stretch a little bit to think. But I just started thinking about things more and more, and yeah, it was really just kind of critical thinking that swayed me. And then as I got more into ghost hunting myself, and some of those things seemed a lot more natural than supernatural, a lot more normal than paranormal. It's just the conditions, unfortunately.
Right.
But yeah, once I started experiencing a lot of that, I realized, everything's not as magical. At least from my perspective and my point of view at this point.
Seems pretty magical if you can talk to people through a iPhone app.
That's my normal life.
Yeah.
Just drink the Kool-Aid.
Yeah. What are you guys' thoughts on, like, from the atheist and the spiritual side, what are you guys' thoughts on, like, the Ouija board and stuff like that? Like, interacting with spirits in that way?
Uh-oh.
I've been waiting.
Nick's got it.
We love it.
The whole convention. The Ouija board, a lot of people get excited and say, "Oh, it's a portal to hell. You're opening a
Satan's
portal to
tool."
hell." We open a portal to hell every time we turn our voice recorders on.
True.
We're doing the exact same thing that you're doing with the Ouija board. Is there anybody with us tonight? Only there's not a what's that little puck that the wooden pallet,
the pointer thing.
Yeah, the thing that everybody
the mouse.
You're moving it. Yeah, the mouse
to hell.
The trackpad to hell. You're doing the same thing when you go into a location and turn your digital recorder on. You're establishing a line of communication, and this is exactly what the priest at the diocese said. You're not supposed to be communicating. You're not even supposed to, be establishing that connection. Everybody looks at the Ouija board and says, "Oh, you're vulnerable. You're going to get hurt." You're doing the same thing when you're.
It's made by Parker Brothers, by the way.
Yes.
When you're doing the digital recorder, you're doing the same thing. You're asking for questions. You're asking for signs. You could be in the middle of an EVP session with the digital recorder and give me a sign of your presence, and a chair flies across the room and smacks you in the face. Now Aaron's got to drive home alone. Oh, thanks. I personally have never used the Ouija board. Well, maybe one time, but nothing happened. I was just in the room while it was being used.
What was your reservation on using it?
Well, I'm 6'7", 285 pounds. There wasn't a whole lot of room to squeeze my big ass in around the table.
Sure.
But when I first started, Aaron moved to Arizona, and at that time I was really looking in. As I just said, most people are, "Oh, Ouija board, that's a portal to hell, this and that, blah, blah, blah." But as I've gotten older, I'm like, it's not that bad.
Sure.
Yeah, I used a Ouija board when I first was started because I wanted this to happen like really fast. Like I just wanted to get the answer and like move on to Bigfoot or UFO really quick. I'm still on Ghost, but I took the Ouija board at nighttime to a cemetery on a storm. I just wanted action right now.
Sure.
Nothing happened. Clearly, it got wet. I think it rained. But yeah, what we use with our tools are like the Ouija board, but they're amped up. And the tools are only as good as who's using them anyways. So if you get, someone that has a different style, different energy, different ways of using it, sure, maybe something else could happen or a different reaction could happen, because every action has a reaction. And we use the tools. We speak casually and playfully and fun and respectfully.
And before we abandon the Ouija board, visit our friend Paranormal Captivity on YouTube. She actually has a video where she makes a Ouija board out of a Little Caesars pizza box.
Yeah.
And uses a slice of hot and ready Little Caesars pizza as a little palette thing in it.
Well,
she actually gets a couple responses out of it. It's an interesting video.
Yeah, I have seen guys use, like, they'll cut out cardboard and they'll use the bottom of a pop bottle cut out as their, whatever it's called, their mouse pointer. So you guys both, I mean, in what you're doing, you think that there is credence in what the responses people are getting out of this, whatever, Mattel or Parker Brothers, just toy back in the day. You guys think that is basically connecting to something. You think there is legitimacy to the responses that they're getting?
Maybe not all of them. That's, kind of like what we do, but with our Spirit Box and EVPs.
Yeah, we use an iPhone app that works for us. So
sure,
by all means.
You know what? We should use the iPhone app right now. Do we have time?
Sure. I got as much time as you want.
I can't guarantee nothing.
Late nights with Dan.
You're like 3 minutes, and we'll see if anything's here.
Late nights at 8:40 p.m.
And again, remember this. It doesn't use any real words. Besides that, but that's the only
that
phrase.
That sounded very clear to me. I'm convinced.
She's already talking already. There's a female here with us in the station.
So I'm going to open up 2 banks. Just going to scan them and put some reverb on, and we'll see if we get anything.
Sure.
Is there anybody in the room with us? If someone's here, if someone's in the room with us, you can talk to us now. Can you let us know your name? You're actually on the radio right now.
Quiet now.
This is a quiet one. Nobody in the room?
12.
Can you say my name? My name's Aaron Thompson. Let us know you're here.
Maybe not, huh?
Can't win them all.
It's all good. Can you ask them to do a plug for the System is Down podcast?
Yeah. Can you say the system is down?
With the way the app works there, those sounds that we're hearing, I don't know what I'm listening to exactly, and I'm sure most people don't. Like, are those just picking up other signals and that type of thing?
No, they're their own sound banks. So these actually are all the sound banks running right now, and it's just scanning on different frequencies. So there's a host server, in a sense, that has these sound banks, and it just cycles through them.
I like that last one.
If you guys are here, can you give the show a plug?
Well, cool. With you guys in this stuff, I mean, is this, Aaron, like your full-time gig, or what do you do? What's your profession?
Not my full-time gig yet. I gave myself till September of 2018 as a 3-year plan to kind of transform this into a platform where I could boost off into a full-time and actually leave the job, which is scary. I currently work actually for a utilities company.
Sure.
Right now. So that's my normal 9 to 5. I say that loosely. I work 10, 11 hours. And then I just work on the Ghost Crier stuff, in between other things. But it's kind of, and I wake up at 5:30 in the morning each morning to
like P. Diddy.
to do it. I feel like P. Diddy. I go to bed about midnight.
Right on.
Before you leave, do you brush your teeth with a bottle of Jack?
Oh, maybe I do. Clue will be gross. So gross.
I'm assuming that's the reference Nick was making.
Yeah.
You guys and your references.
Well, between the two of you, where do you guys want to go? Like, what is your goal?
I believe Aaron would like to make it a full-time career, and I can back him up on that. And if that doesn't pan out, I just hope that we provide hours and hours of entertainment for the people that watch our YouTube channel.
Sure.
Yeah, it's a good. It's kind of a good artistic release too, which is kind of funny to say because we have complete power. We can give you that real, consistent, scientific stuff, and and get better and better with our investigations and so forth, and that quality. We can design things.
Oh yeah, it's back.
We're back. Yeah, so we can design. We can. Okay.
What is your end game in all of this? Where do you see it going? Do you see it like TV show or just perpetuating the website or the YouTube channel, stuff like that? Like, what is your what is your goal for all of it?
My true goal is to go full time, because the problem is this field that absolutely is a legitimate form of science is just not seen that way. And since it's not seen that way, big companies aren't going to put dollars towards that. Well, that's where the entertainment aspect, the crowd funding sites are able to help us out. If we have people that want to see this field move forward in a serious, professional, entertaining fashion, I mean, we have our patreon.com/ghostcrier that folks can donate kind of a monthly if they just want to do $1 a month. I mean, heck, if we get 5,000 people that give $1 a month, that's $5,000 a month. I mean, that propels us to maintain our overhead and to do events and to do these.
Be a lot more investigations and a lot less ghost talk.
So your best case scenario, like, what is it?
I don't want to do a producer. I don't want to go to a TV. I mean, I won't turn down like an offer with a good hard conversation for the most part, but I really want to drive this myself and to have fans be the producer, because like Thomas Edison was a huge investigator, ghost hunter, whatever you want to call it. And he was very forward thinking. And of course, he's a scientist. Everyone knows his invention.
Was he a ghost hunter?
He was a ghost hunter.
We can dig into that if you want.
Yeah, he.
That's very interesting. I've heard nothing about that.
Him and Tesla were both into it, and they kind of banged heads together all the time.
Yeah. They understood that there was another frequency, and Edison was said to speak to his past loved ones often with some creations that he put together. It was probably a very loose version of recorders that we see now. Sure. But yeah, he. My big thing is I want to kind of take where Edison left off and really push this and do inventions and start doing more standard experiments and showing people kind of what to do in different styles and just sharing the evidence of what we got, and really push this /para unity that Nick and I really have jumped aboard, which is really just a unification of support within the paranormal community. Because I'll be honest with you, Dan, it's an ugly community.
Yeah, we got a lot of friends, don't we?
Yeah. Everyone wants to be the next TV star, so they will be happy to cut someone else down. I don't think that's so much as it is now than it was maybe 7 years ago, but it's still there. You still get the people that all they're doing is making stuff and submitting it to producer to hopefully get that big thing. That's not doing that. Producers of TV shows aren't going to do anything to propel the field. They're only going to keep the entertainment and keep the suspense and keep the horror aspect alive. And it's funny because, I was talking to another investigator the other day, and some of the things I was saying, I'm such a high level nerd. Like if you're a D&D player, if you get a good D&D player and you say something to them, they just go off on the deep end and they just know this, and this, and this. Awesome. Yeah. I'm like that with ghosts. It feels like sometimes you get I was talking to another
investor. The Alex Jones of the paranormal.
Oh dear, don't go there.
Oh dear.
I'm a conspiracy guy.
So I'm no Alex. But yeah, there's a kind of a high level conversation, and I started talking about a theory that I'm completely passionate and I feel is where we need to go. And I guess my assumption is a lot of the same investigators are on the same level, or at least the same. I don't know. And I don't want to say, I'm better, because that's not where I'm going with this. But I've been doing it a long time. And I've clearly I'm trying to make it a profession, so I'm taking it serious. I saw the glazed look in their eye, to say the least, as I'm talking, and I'm like, oh crap, may have lost.
They're not as passionate about it as you are, even though they're making it a profession too.
Not to say they're not as passionate, but yeah, they do have maybe different methods. I don't know.
Motives. They're not wanting to look into it scientifically.
What's his face? Who's a psychic guy? Famous, old. That describes every one of them.
Crossing over guy?
No, he's Chip Coffee. Chip Coffee.
That's a name you can
trust. A lot of
trust.
people say he's really nice. I've never mentioned him, but I remember he jumped on a photo that went online. That was a ghost photo. And I just thought it was funny because he jumped on it like, if this is real, this is the best photo ever, blah, 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 blah. Nick and I took 1 second of a look at it and realized it's crap. Sure. We did a whole video on how it's crap. And it just kind of sucks that he's in the people's eye.
Right.
So someone at that caliber has that pull and said that. I mean, you're getting a lot of his fan base jumping and going, "Oh yeah, it is real."
Chip said it's real.
Well, that's
real
something that I
stuff.
like about you guys. I watched a video where you shot something and you thought that you didn't see anything, and then somebody pointed out something that was hanging overhead, which was casting a shadow in the background, and you did another video discrediting kind of what you're doing, not sensationalizing it, not saying, hey, they pointed that out and people are going with it, let's go with it. You actually did a debunking video on your own video and the things that people were saying that was giving you credence. I think that's really cool. Like, you're looking for actual things instead of just trying to find something that will garner hits, garner views on YouTube and stuff like that. I think that's awesome. And that's something that's very, very rare.
Yeah. And that's surprising because, you're not the only person that came up to me and said that they like that style. I thought, again, the other groups were doing this. So I'm...
You're just being you and being human about it. Like, obviously, if you can discredit this, let's throw that out. That's not something to perpetuate us. That is obviously crap.
Yeah, and I'm not worried about, not finding anything because, again, I had my experience. I know the other realms out there I want to be doing for so long. So now it's just the point. I'm not trying to go to you or go to someone else and go, they're real. This is why. It's not my thing.
Sure.
But if I get some good evidence, I definitely want to show it. But if it's crap, I'm not.
Awesome.
That's the point of it.
Yeah, that's I would say the only approach that you should ever take in any of these things. Try to discredit what you're doing, even, and if you can't, then let's talk about that. Thanks to both of you for coming on. Do you guys want to promote anything that you're doing right now? Anything at all?
Yeah, go to YouTube, guys. Ghost Crier videos. If you go to ghostcrier.com, all of our links and all of our stuff, our events and everything that's coming up, check on the page. You're going to see a good old Masonic Temple event, the one where I debunked, that image. We're going back there. We're going back there. It was really an awesome place. And the kicker was it didn't have a very high attendance due to we were the first group ever. No TV team, so no one knew what it was in there. Someone even sent me a message and said, so what's the story behind this place? Oh, good old fashioned ghost hunt. I mean, why do you have to have a story behind something? That's what's fun about that investigating.
Was that the one that I was talking about with
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of conspiracies around the Masons and stuff like that. So people who are trying to find something to lend credence to their beliefs on the Masons will be like, hey, dig into that more.
Come on down. It'll be November?
It's gonna be a couple of months. It's our Halloween one, but it's November 3rd or something. It's the Saturday after Halloween.
It is a great building. The Masons aren't there anymore, but all their gear is, and we went all the way upstairs into the upstairs temple.
Nice.
And we got some insane reactions of our equipment. We have infrared lights that light up with motion that just started lighting up. I mean,
this time I want to be there at a longer time frame, and I want to do focus experiments with some of the guests. I think that'd be awesome because there's some cool places or some cool areas there.
Yeah, I was downstairs in the main concert hall by myself, going in there just to set some equipment up, and something came up in my face. I felt like I was going to get into a bar fight. That's how it just felt like somebody was really close in my face.
Yeah.
It was weird.
So you guys say you do live events. Are those just like you doing investigations with other people there? Or are they like speeches? Like, how do your live events work?
Aaron is actually a professional speaker, if you did not know. Aaron will be giving a great speech. Our historian, Travis, he is also a very great speaker.
He teaches history, actually. So we got a historian that actually has his master's in history. How crazy is that?
That's very cool.
He will be giving a speech. I work in a factory and don't talk to anybody, so I will not be.
So he wears the vest and he's behind the laptop.
Yeah. You turn off the lights and I'll glow, though.
You know, this guy, he jokes that he doesn't do speeches, but when you pass the ball to him, he just takes it and goes. And sometimes I'm like, well, is he serious that he doesn't talk? Because he's really holding the crowd right now, trying to jump in or just let him take it.
I had a large fan base of old women last weekend at the Psychic
They love him.
Convention that were sulking over me. It was awesome. I'm like, yeah, this is it. We've done it. We can quit now, Aaron.
Yeah, I think we're looking at going to the Cedar Rapids one too. I'm in talks with Kelly to go to the next one, so I hope that happens. We want to do more conventions too.
That's all awesome, and I love talking to you guys, especially like I said, the dichotomy between you two having different takes on this subject, because if you both came in, Aaron guns a-blazing with atheism, I mean, it might have been a different conversation, but it's really cool to have you guys both approaching this subject from completely different standpoints. Thanks so much to both of you. I really appreciate it, and thanks for giving me your time on a Friday night from 7 to 9-ish now. So I know that's
fun.
It's primary party time and primary probably ghost hunting, paranormal investigation time.
I've got it just never stops, Once Friday hits, that last Friday video went up today, and guess what? 2 days from now, Monday hits again, and we got to put another video up, updating every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Sure, that's awesome.
That's a lofty task, but
yeah, and I would encourage everybody to go to ghostcrier.com, check out what these guys are doing. It definitely stretches my beliefs, and I think that's very important for anybody to step outside of what they know or what they think they know and their comfort zone and look at these things and look at them from a scientific view. There's evidence there that something strange is out there that we don't understand, and I applaud you guys for doing a great job at presenting that to the masses, and thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
You're very welcome. I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good one.
Yep.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.
Hey guys, hope you enjoyed the episode. Thanks for sticking around. As always, you can find links to everything that we talked about in the show, ghostcrier.com and all that, in the show notes at tsidpod.com. Be sure to subscribe and review to the show on iTunes. That's always very helpful and appreciated. And come join the uncomfortable discussions on our forum by going to tsidpod.com/forum. Do that, and I'll talk to you next time. Until then, question everything and stay uncomfortable. Thanks. This has been a Goulash Media production. goulashmedia.net.
This concludes our broadcast day. Click.